Chapter 19. When Hutch woke up the next morning, it felt like the first day of summer all over again. He wanted to play some ball, even though Mr. Cullen had given everybody the day off. Just to be a good guy and a good friend, he waited until a few minutes before 11 before riding his bike over to Cody's. He was pretty sure Mrs. Hester was gone, but Hutch rang the doorbell just in case she was still there, knowing that wouldn't wake Cody, since Mrs. Hester liked to say doorbells weren't made to wake the dead. When nobody answered, he walked around to the kitchen door, the one on the carport side of the house, knowing from experience it was always open if somebody was in the house, even if the somebody was still asleep. Then he walked back to Cody's room, loudly opened the shades, and yelled, "Rise and shine!" From under his pillows, Cody said in a muffled voice, "Aw, man, this is wrong." "Come on, dude, you can't sleep all day," Hutch said. "But that was my plan," Cody said, wriggling himself deeper under his covers. "What time is it, anyway?" 11. So wrong, Cody said. "We got to get out and play some ball." "Not on our day off," Cody said. He poked his head out from under the pillows and covers now, squinting. "We're in the finals," Hutch said. We got to go. We got to get after it." "Friday," Cody said. "Friday we're in the finals. Today is Monday. Please let me go back to sleep. I'll pay you." "Come on," Hutch said, pulling up into a sitting position. "I won't even make you go all the way to Fallon Park. We'll just go over to the community center and play on the football field." Fallon Park was about 20 blocks away. There were two baseball fields there, one for Little League and one for Babe Ruth, and a fenced-in batting cage with a ball machine that the coaches had keys for during the season. The fields weren't the best around, and there was always talk about tearing them up and building new ones if the city would ever come up with the money. But they were baseball fields. And because Cody's dad had once coached them in Little League, he still had a key to the batting cage. "Nice of you," Cody said. "So nice," Hutch said. "I'm even going to buy you breakfast." Cody got out of bed as a form of surrender, mumbling, "I think I liked you better when you were suspended." They stopped at the Quick Stop, 2 blocks down the corner of Gateway and Seacrest, for what Cody called the real breakfast of champions, which for him meant powdered donuts and a purple Gatorade. Then they rode their bikes the rest of the way to the community center, went around to the back, past the outdoor basketball courts that were always patrolled day or night. It was a good place for kids of all ages, they knew, but the policemen you usually saw there were a reminder to Hutch and Cody that their Palm Beach County wasn't the one with mansions on the beach. Past the basketball courts and seldom used tennis courts was the football field used by the Boynton Beach Bulldogs, who played in the South Florida Youth Football League. There was a sign before you got to the field that read Super Bowl champions because a few years ago the Bulldogs had won their big tournament against the best teams in the country up in Jacksonville. "Next week I'm putting a sign like that on our front lawn after we beat Orlando," Cody said. "We're only playing for the state championship, Codes," Hutch said. "From the best state in the country at producing athletes," Cody said. "I thought that was California." "Florida," Cody said, "and I have the stats to prove it." "Where?" "Right here," Cody said, pointing to his head. They soft-tossed at first, then kept backing up the way Hutch would see guys do at Marlins games when he was lucky enough to go to the Marlins games, until they were throwing balls as far as they could. In this case, that meant from one 20-yard line to another, even though Hutch knew he could have gone deeper than that if he'd wanted to. There was no infield and no outfield and no bases, but they had green grass under their feet and a blue sky over their heads. The temperature was not only down in the 70s today, it felt as if somebody had thrown a switch and turned off the humidity. The only thing that would have made the day better was having game one be tonight. When they started throwing, even the smack of the ball hitting the pocket of his glove sounded better than ever. "Think your arm got stronger in the last 2 days," Cody yelled. Hutch yelled back, "Second basemen don't need an arm. I learned that watching you." He uncorked his biggest throw yet, watched it sail over Cody's head. "Sorry," he yelled. "No, you're not." "You're right." They had each brought a bat and hit a fly ball and hit fly balls to each other now, trying to outdo each other, even having a contest to see which one of them could be first to hit one through the goalposts. Hutch won. Cody said, "You hit it, you shag it." Hutch said that was fine with him. He was just going to pretend he was running out a game-winning home run. This was one of those days, he thought, when he could play baseball all the way until dinner time. It was when he reached down for the ball that he noticed the black town car in the distance, parked on North Seacrest. Hutch didn't know if his dad was caddying today or driving, mostly because he hadn't done much talking to or about his dad the last couple of days. Was that his dad's car? Hutch knew there were always a couple of times a week when he drove mornings and then tried to caddy in the afternoon. Was this one of them? Another thing he didn't know about his dad. But if it was his dad in that car, what was he doing here? Why would he be watching him and Cody goofing around on a football field? Hutch started walking toward the car, thinking if he got a little closer, he might be able to see who was behind the wheel. Knowing he was probably being crazy, that there were probably more car service cars like the one his dad drove around in in than he could even imagine. As he did, the car eased out behind a passing truck and pulled away. His dad wasn't around for dinner that night. Hutch asked his mom if he'd been driving today, and she said she actually wasn't sure. He'd been gone since she woke up. What, why do you want to know? Connie Hutchinson asked. Just wondering. His mom said, You never ask about your dad's work. Why tonight? Hutch pushed some food around on his plate. I was just wondering why he wasn't here, is all. Are things any better between you two? Same, Hutch said, not looking up. Well, that's not good, she said. Hutch looked up at her now. The other night, Dad told me he'd been lying about his shoulder injury, that when he got to the minors, he just wasn't good enough. His mom had started to pick up her water glass. Now she put it down. He told you that? Hutch nodded. That must have been very hard, she said. Me hearing that from Dad, you mean? No, his mom said. Him saying it. He could have told me before, Hutch said. I don't know why he had to treat it like some kind of big family secret. She said, maybe because only he knows what it was like going from what he'd been here to what he turned out to be there. She looked off and said, and then ending up back here. Usually Hutch helped her clear the table. Tonight she said she could handle it alone. So Hutch went upstairs to listen to the Marlins game, which is where he was when he heard the front door open and close. He waited a whole half hour before he came down the stairs, hearing the television announcers broadcasting the same game against the Braves that Hutch had been listening to on the radio. His dad was on the couch. If he had been driving earlier, he'd already changed out of his white shirt and tie and into a blue Florida Gators t-shirt and some khaki shorts. The beer can was on the table next to him. Hutch had planned to ask him whether he'd been at the community center, but somehow the sight of that beer, the force field being in place, made him change his mind. Or lose his nerve. And what did it matter anyway? His dad noticed him and said, Hey. Hey. It was about the normal length of the conversations they'd been having since Emerald Dunes. Hutch stood there a little longer, knowing this night was going to be like all the rest, that he wasn't going to be invited to join him, knowing at the same time he was never going to ask to join his dad, that if his dad wanted company, he could just say so. Night, Hutch finally said. Night, his dad said, and took a sip of the beer. Hutch went back up the stairs, hearing the Marlins announcers from his radio now. Dave Van Horn's voice rising as he described Hanley Ramirez trying to beat a throw home. Same game, same house, different broadcasts. Maybe it figured. It was weird, Hutch thought to himself. Two other shortstops in his life. His dad was one, Darrell was the other. And right before the biggest game of his life, he was barely on speaking terms with either one of them.